Here.
Johnson? Here. Simmons? Here.
We could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Mark, the agenda looks set. Anything changed?
We have two changes, Mayor. We have a replacement at your desk for 10A. It's just a minor change in the wording that you'll see on the back of it, the last page. And then item C of the agenda, we are removing, if you're comfortable with that. We need to further scrutinize and change the contract that we have with police. And look to bring that to you at the 20th meeting. Those are the two changes.
Thank you. So C's off the agenda.
C's off, yes.
It wasn't off this morning, Mark.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't off until about 5 o'clock.
Only me.
Next, approval of minutes, both the regular meeting May 8 and May 15. And minutes of the joint meeting with the Park and Rec Board, which we took the tour on the Dark Bus on the 11th. Any questions about those minutes? Anyone? Do we have a motion for approval of all three?
So moved. Support.
Motion and support. Questions, additions, corrections? Anyone? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed the same. Minutes are approved. No special order study session. About a month ago or a couple weeks ago, during the parental leave discussion, the commission specifically asked the city managers to start working on the parental leave for the union groups. Mark, you have an update?
I do. Myself, as well as other members of staff, Melissa, namely, and Steve, Danny, Heather, in their respective unions that they work with. We've engaged each union group, all four of them. And we're making progress, good progress, I think. And so I anticipate being able to wrap that up within the next 30 days, I would think. One of which would be incorporation into the fire contract. We hope to have that for approval at our next meeting, possibly. So making good progress, had good conversations with all the union reps that we've met with and have met, if not once, multiple times with each one.
Good, thank you. Melissa, anything to add to that one?
Yeah, just ongoing, kind of working out some of the fine details and stuff. We're meeting again with AFSCME Wednesday. We've met the last 2 Wednesdays with them. We meet again with fire Friday. Police we've met with twice. So.
Good, thank you. Also under study session, our accreditation manager, Liz West, is here to give us an update.
Can I stay back here?
Sure, we can hear you.
Good. A little safety behind the table. Okay, so I'm was asked to give you an update, from the beginning to where we are now. So we sent in our application in the summer of 21. It got lost, which worked out to our benefit. So it started in actually September of 21. We did not lose it. So we started September 21. It's a 2 to 3 year process. 2 years is the goal. You can apply for 2 6-month extensions. So our September will be at the end. I'll need 1 6-month extension that I will apply for in August, which is not a problem. The reason we're slightly behind is our software compatibility issues that were out of our control. Nothing I can do. I just turn on the computer and try to use it, but that's my extent. The issue is we have Lexipol for our policy and procedures. That is a nationwide program. They write your policies for every state. So there are a lot of departments in Michigan who have Lexipol, and if I go find their policies online, all of them look really close to the same, except, you go and you tweak them a little bit to say Big Rapids versus whoever else. The procedures are not written. Policy is what we do. Procedure is how we do it. So obviously they can't write a procedure in California or wherever they are, I think they're out there, because we do things very differently in Big Rapids than they do even in Mecosta County. on some things. So we've been really working hard at getting that, and we're very, very close to having all the policy and procedures done. Well, then the commission that handles accreditation comes out and says, hey, we're going to throw a wrench into that. Everybody in the state's going to use one program, and that's called Power DMS, which is another program, different company. So we had to sign up for that, and it's just for, fluidity. Everybody's got the same program. We were then advised, as we're still working behind the scenes, I'm still doing what I need to do, that they're going to start talking, not a buyout, but they're going to start communicating. So the whole point of it was I can upload a policy or release a policy in Lexipol, and then at midnight, so when I come in the morning, I have an alert that Power DMS has it. So they communicate. Well, from September of 22 to the end of February, there was no communication. So I was in multiple meetings between Lexipol and actually conference calls and conference meetings with Power DMS. I had the most problems, which I guess the chief would probably agree I have a lot of problems, right? But, a lot of issues to work out. I was in touch with software engineers. They logged into our system remotely, figured out. So it wasn't really our issue at all, it was theirs. So that put us a couple months behind where I could not, unless I manually did everything, and then it would get wiped out or written over again. So we kind of waited, and I was behind the scenes getting what I needed. When it started working end of February, jumped right into it, full blast, full tilt there. My daily things that I do. So to get accredited, there are 108 different standards. Those standards are set by the state of Michigan, the commission. So everybody has to do, there's a certain standard of way you have to do things. We all have to do it. We're going through this process the same. We have to meet this basic minimum standard. There are 108 of them, but in that 108, there could be one standard, just the one, or there could be 10 bullet points. So for each one of those bullet points, the lengthy part of this procedure is I have to go find evidence to prove that we do what we say we do on paper. That's a challenge, but we're doing pretty good. So the things that I do is I go through our RMS, which is our report management system. We keep all of our reports in there, all of our paperwork, and I keyword search for a traffic stop or a suspended driver, whatever it may be that I need to prove that we do things a certain way. Then I go hunt it down, I just save it, upload it, highlight it, tag it, name it. It's a procedure. I've gotten pretty good at it, pretty quick. I also have to go through our body cam video software program online, and I'll have to do the same thing. I have to find a video. For instance, one of the standards we have to meet is that all law enforcement officers, when we can, not in an emergency, but when we have time, if we're doing anything out on, say, State Street, Perry Street, N20, Business 131, we have to have a high visibility vest on. It's mandatory. We get out and do a traffic stop. We don't always put it on, but if we're going to be outside the car for a lengthy period of time, crash scenes, we always have to put them on. It's law. So I go and find an officer who actually was wearing his traffic vest because we do what we're supposed to do, and I had to get video of him doing it. He was directing traffic, which has to be done a specific way with hand motions, and to clip that video, put into another program, which I had to be taught how to do. That part I'm not good at. I can surf the internet, but not so much editing video. So I figured out how to do that, and then I upload it. So it's a process. It's not just something really quick. It's also not extremely difficult. It's just a process. On the positive part, the computer tells me I'm about 70% done. So we're getting there, and most of that task started happening since basically the early March when the program started working. The next things that we need to do, I need to hunt down about 100 more proofs. We're going to schedule a mock assessment this summer, July or August. A mock assessment will be, I'll give some volunteers who've been through the program before, who are accredited. I'll give them access to our program. They'll go in, make sure that everything that I put in there is what needs to be in there. or make suggestions on what I should do instead. And then we'll meet here, we'll give them a tour of the building, show them how we meet standards, evidence room, for instance, gun armory, and then we'll go through all the standards, and then I'll get a final report, and that report will say what we need to fix to be ready for our on-site. I'll fix everything, and then the on-site will schedule for October, November, December is the time frame. What happens then is I give another group of actual official assessors trained access to the program again. They'll do what the mock assessors did. Then they'll come up here for 2 days, spend 2 days with our department. They'll do ride-alongs with us. They'll get a very intense tour of the building. They'll have a day where we have a phone line open to the public, and we'll have people call in and give their opinions of us, which I'm sure will all be glowing, have no doubt. And then our goal, Danny's goal and mine, is to attend the winter conference down in Grand Rapids in February, where we will be awarded accreditation. So it's coming. There's a lot. I depend on a lot of people. It's hard to do as one person. I depend on the sergeants a lot, and they already have a lot to do, so I'm very appreciative of them. I depend a lot on Chief for a lot of things that I go and ask her for, and she's like, I'll get to it. But she does get it done. Annual reports, stuff like that. I rely on Melissa for a ton of stuff too. So it's not just me. I'm bugging a lot of people, but it's coming along.
Thank you. Well, who accreditates?
It's Michigan Law Enforcement Accreditation Commission. They're a branch of the MACP, Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. That's the state level. There's a federal program you can do called CALEA, which is, it's just a federal program. And those are a lot more standards, like state police are doing the CALEA. There's some big departments in Michigan that do that one. But each state has their own program, so we're doing the state program.
What percentage of police departments are accredited in Michigan?
Less than half.
Less than half.
Oh, not even, yeah, way less than half. It's starting to really become a huge program. A lot of the departments that are doing it because law enforcement's not really positively looked at right now, and it comes and goes. It'll come back someday, but you know, right now there are a lot of things that have gone on in the last few years, and we have to let people know and show them that we already have high standards here, like extremely high standards here. It's not easy to get, once you get hired in here, it's a lot you have to know. Not everybody makes it. Very high standards to be a police officer here. I'm very proud of everybody that currently works here. It's a tough job, but we still have to prove to the public that you can come in and ask us for certain policies. We'll provide them. We'll provide some of them on our website. And we're going to do certain things a certain way, and it's going to be the best way. So people are doing that because we just feel that we need to step up our game and show people that we are doing things the right way.
Thank you. Questions from the public for Officer West from the commission?
Thank you for all your work.
It doesn't sound like much fun.
Well, I forgot the really fun part is that after we get accredited in February, I then have about 5 months to train my replacement.
Oh, dear.
Thank you.
Chief, anything to add?
She's doing a great job.
Thank you.
Tedious work.
Now we're at number 8, which is public comment not related to items on the agenda. Please, Rosemary Jennings.
Downtown flowers have arrived. They're beautiful. Thank you.
Just gonna get a mic, but.
I just like
Quick.
that.
Thank you, Rosemary. You have a lot of different people doing it this year. Some young folks, it look like.
Yeah, there's seasonal staff was out planning today. It's kind of a mixture. You're right. Yeah.
Next, no public hearings today. The general business 10A is the budget. We've had 2 hearings and we've had extensive review. Carla's here for one last go
Let's
round.
go around.
Anything to start us off with, Carla?
There, as Mark was speaking to, there are a couple just minor changes on the last page. When it's talking about the Hemlock Park Improvement Bond, it needed to say as part of the 12.233 mils. And that part wasn't in there, so we've inserted that. And then also the next paragraph down, the correct Headley reduction is now in there, is 1.9728 mils, and that's for the DDA.
Now, questions from the public or the commission for Carla or Mark on the budget? Nice, none. Very good, Carla, no questions. Is there a motion to adopt the city's General Appropriations Act for fiscal 23-24?
So,
So there's a motion and support. Motion and support. Last time for questions. Hearing none, roll call please. This takes all the votes, right? Four votes.
Cochran? Yes. Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson? Yes. Simmons? Yes.
Next, city manager, Mark Gifford is coming to us for a gambling license. Could you explain that?
I'm happy to explain it, Mayor. So, I'm the chair of the Big Rapids Festival of the Arts Board, and we have been wrestling with fundraising. We've never done a true fundraiser. We've received sponsorships from businesses and individuals. The city contributes. The university is a big contributor, the main contributor to the festival. We very much appreciate all of those. What we're looking to do is something a little bit different and run a raffle this year, this summer. One reason is to raise money. Another is to keep the festival in the thoughts and of the public at different time of year. So to do that, we have to apply for a license from the state, and we have to have a sponsor. And so we are looking to the city to be our sponsor to host this raffle. And we would do the drawing at the Labor Day Arts and Crafts. So we probably have them for sale if the commission is comfortable doing this within the next, month or so. We'll have them for sale for a couple months and then do the drawing at the end. We have three winners we've picked. So that's about all I have.
What goal are you shooting for money raised?
I believe we're getting either 600 or 700 tickets printed at $10 each, so that's a $6,000 or $7,000 total minus the 1,500. So, in the 5,500 range. So it'd be a nice fundraiser for the festival if we sell all the tickets, right?
We can't sell tickets on premises, can we, Mark?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it says that. We can get out on the sidewalk and do business. Yeah, that's a good question.
Other questions? Thoughts?
I just have a comment. I am also on the Festival of the Arts Board, so I would like to abstain from voting on this.
That's good?
That's appropriate, yes.
Yeah. Very good.
I did have
Rose?
a question.
Yes, please.
I did have a question, Mayor, for Mr. Fowler. Is it a conflict of interest at all that the letter comes from Mark, who's also the city manager? And I understand he's not asking us as city manager.
Right. No, I don't think that's a conflict because he's asking in his capacity as the board chair. And so it would just be, and he's not voting on the matter, it's up to the commission. So as long as Commissioner Johnson discloses and abstains, then there's no issue of conflicts.
Okay, thank you.
Public? What do you think, Rosemary? Good?
Whatever.
You're the only one, you and Bill. Any questions? Is there a motion to help them with their charitable giving license?
So moved.
Support. Further questions? It just seems so kind of different, Mark.
Yeah, it is, especially coming from me signing it. That's what it is.
Tim?
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Stockman?
Yes.
Did you note that Commissioner Johnson?
Abstain. Oh, I'm sorry. Johnson. I should say Johnson and you should say abstain.
Oh, abstain.
It's all official for the recording.
The next item was deleted, which is the new contract for an engineer. Mark did interview another firm as well, and you're just cleaning it up, are you?
We did. We just found something in the contract. We didn't want to rush it and have it not be right, so we're going to bring it back to you next meeting.
Good, thank you. Next is a resolution basically to apply for a grant to put the bathrooms and development further of the Depot Trailhead Park project. There must be questions on that one. That one hasn't been talked about a lot. Mark?
Yeah, sure. I'll start us off and maybe Michelle jump in when I mess up, maybe if I do. But this is a project, we have talked about some, but you're right, it hasn't been probably well vetted. But we think as staff this is a hugely important next step. So one of the things that we may have brought up in the past is that the trail is going to be paved from Sand Lake to Big Rapids, maybe even as quick as this summer. And that would bring with it some level of an influx or an increased use of the trail in that section. So right now, when they arrive in Big Rapids, we believe that our presence or appeal, eye appeal is not where it could be or should be, and that's where this project comes in. We want to develop that trailhead as a very user-friendly location, something that welcomes people to Big Rapids, because that would be their first view of the city. We'd have fully functional restrooms. Right now we don't. Right now we have a pit toilet and a porta john that sits next to it. Neither one is ideal. We would have sort of a picnic area. We'd have some public art potentially. We'd have a kiosk that directed people to downtown or a map of the city. Some of those types of things. We'd have seating, get out, get into the shade. Something that would, and it would pave the parking lot. So the RAP grant was provided for the first time, or maybe it was the first time there was an opportunity was last year. And RAP stands for something.
Revitalization
and placemaking. This was done or offered by the state through COVID funds, is my understanding. So they did it last year. This is their second and last time that it'll be available. It's a 1-to-1 match, so for every dollar that we get in a grant, we'd have to spend that amount. You see the budget in here of just over $1 million, and the max that we can ask for is $500,000. So we would, then the city would have, need to come up with $519,350. And I appreciate Michelle's extreme hard work to make this happen. So we don't have a grant writer, right? And this is due at the end of the month. And she is filling that role wonderfully and just doing whatever it takes, because if we don't, let's say if we didn't get this, we weren't successful, boy, oh boy, it still is a project we have got to find a way to do in staff's opinion. So, happy to answer any questions. Michelle, please fill in where I missed.
Did we fail last year, or did we not apply?
We did not apply to the RAP grant last year. We did not, no. We applied for this project. We applied to the Spark grant. Spark.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't get the Spark.
We did not get the Spark. There were
300.
400?
300 or 400.
Yeah, 400 applicants. We were 170th or something. And so there's another round of Spark grants coming up now. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another piece of this puzzle. The Spark grant is also COVID funding provided directly to parks, and it's 100% grant, or you can ask for up to $1 million. I don't know if it's 100% grant. You can ask for up to $1 million. So it's hugely attractive to communities and with many, many applicants. This one, with the way the match is, probably isn't quite as competitive, but I'm sure it is highly competitive as well. We think we have a good project, Mayor. I think that we have gotten great letters of support from all
Did you
aspects.
get the Ferris letter? Did that come in?
Ferris, I haven't got that one yet, but we will.
I can't read it.
Well, legislative luncheon tomorrow,
We bring that up.
we'll have to bring that up. But we have many letters of support. How many do we have?
I think I have 6 right now.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Did we get one from the county commission?
We got one from the Parks Commission.
County Parks.
Okay.
Do we have any idea if the depot will be used when we?
Yeah, I hear that the Clussmans were in town for a very brief period, maybe in the last month or so. I didn't get the chance to connect with them, but I guess they're coming back.
They should be coming back soon, I think.
Bill, do you have inside scoop?
No, it's on our agenda tomorrow night too, though.
Oh, yes.
Oh, good.
Oh, thank you.
You're gonna vote favorably on
I will, I can't promise. I'll be shocked if I let myself or I can get their support.
Mark, if you would call Dr. Pink's right hand.
Yes, I will.
Maggie,
I will.
because he said he'd get right on it, it must have slipped.
Yeah, I will do that.
Do we have a motion for applying for the grant to get the depot part going?
Support.
Motion support.
So moved.
Questions further? Hearing none, roll call, Tammy, the vote.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Effley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Next, as a resolution of ordering a bid to put up an LED sign for the Public Safety Department. Let Danny lead off.
I mean, I might have confetti cannons, I'm just saying. This has been a dream for years. We went out to bid, and of all the bids that came back, there was one that was a 6 millimeter, which refers to pixel pitch, which is something I had to learn about in this whole process. So pixel pitch, the lower the number, the more clear it is closer up. So that being said, we want people who are walking the sidewalk pulling into our parking lot to be able to view it clearly. So I'm asking that we go with Johnson Sign Company for this LED sign.
Let's go right to the nitty gritty. What do you need a digital sign for out front of public safety? I know you're stuck again.
We're going to put all sorts of announcements. We're going to remind people that they can't park on the streets from November to March. We're going to tell them about special events that are going on. If there's any type of an emergency alert that we need to share, we're going to do that. It's going to be a great communication piece where we don't have to take these old vinyl letters and spell out the words and then go up to the sign and see if we have enough for both sides. It's going to be great.
Is
We have
that
pictures.
Is this the Johnson sign that has been in this county forever and ever?
It is not.
Oh, it isn't?
No, it is not. They are Jackson and Manistee are their 2 main hubs. The signs that are at the public schools, that's their signs. So, if you've driven past the school, you've seen them.
Each school has a sign now.
They do.
They're very nice.
Questions for Chief?
Did you ask all of the contractors to provide a bid for the same size?
I gave, it was brought, I wanted the same size, and I gave, examples for where it was located.
Being the head of all the signs at Ferris there, changing anything to add? Nope.
Nothing.
Do we have a motion to buy a sign?
So moved.
Support. Motion support. Further questions? Mark, did you want to add anything on drug test?
Nothing, thanks, Mayor.
Hearing no comment, Tammy?
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
That takes 2 years to come in, does it, or?
Oh, like 6 to 10 weeks. So by fall, everything's going to be in place.
And who's responsible for what goes on the sign?
No.
Is it Bill, is it you?
It'll be a combination between April and Bill. And then, the city.
Yeah, Steve Gove, we thought there would be a connection there too. If you
So we could use that once in a while too.
I would, yeah, absolutely.
Happy to share.
Thank you. Oh, the runway. Did you know our runway is number 927?
No.
Go on Google Earth, and you can actually find the runway, and one end is 9 and one end is 27. Interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting.
So to get I don't see Steve here.
No, Steve.
So I'm the expert at runway. So to get the thing started, you have to have your environmental done. It takes a year. You have to watch all the seasons and all the trees in the season and the bunnies and all that. It takes a year, and it's a mere $400,000 to do that environmental. And we have to pay for it ahead, but we'll be reimbursed when it gets done. So we're taking a slight chance that something could happen. Are we, Mark?
Well, there's always some level of a chance when you're paying for things up front, but we've been working with these types of contracts and agreements through MDOT many, many times and have a comfort level there. So 400, project cost $413,523, what's estimated. And so the city's match would be just shy of $13,000, which we budgeted for. So this is the funding to do that, the environmental analysis and the RPZ, if you remember Steve talking about how they analyze the control landing ability for the runway as well. So this is the funding behind what we've been talking about, Mayor.
And everything's approved all the way now. From the FAA and the MDOT. And
yes, it is.
Everything's done. Questions? This will allow us to go to 5,000, but really at the first go round, it's not quite 5,000, right?
Yeah, that one's always kind of convoluted, right? They gave us the funding to get to 4,700 square feet, but then the additional 300 we paid for out of the allocation from Senator Moolenar's office. Representative Anderson. There we go.
Questions, anyone? Commissioners? Is there a motion? Did we get the motion, Tammy? Yeah. Is there a motion for the airport environmental study?
So moved. Support.
All set, Tammy.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
Yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Do you think in our strategic plan we're going to talk about later we should put down airport authority? Bill Stanek would vote for that, I'm sure. It's in your township, Bill.
Well, and we appreciate what you're doing out here. We appreciate you extending it.
The special use permit for the communications tower on Bronson. Or Bronson.
It's on Bronson.
It's on Bronson.
I'm guessing we have the applicant.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out who it was.
So he may, Mayor, if you're comfortable, he may have some.
Sure. What are we going to do there?
Well, it's built-to-suit site for T-Mobile. Vertical Bridge is proposing to build a 125-foot tall tower, 135-foot overall with a 10-foot lightning rod on there. And it's a built-to-suit for T-Mobile. I don't know if any of you guys have T-Mobile as your service. It's not very good in this area.
Right.
So it's definitely needed, especially with your community, your economic, and your university. We've looked all around. There's other existing self-support towers in the area, but they're not structurally sound to withhold any of their equipment or a platform or anything like that. You do have a water tank there that has a couple carriers on it, but they're all pointed in the same direction, and it's AT&T and Verizon. They are all, one's on a catwalk and one's up on top, and the reason why they're one separated from each other, because they're all going the same direction, and they're all coming off the existing towers and the same towers that they're coming off of. So this is a kind of a need for T-Mobile to get in this area. Their service is down here, and they engaged Vertical Bridge to find a spot, which Vertical Bridge engaged us. And we think that we have a pretty good location in the industrial park area, and it's definitely going to help out your economic needs in this town.
I know you probably can't answer this, but what kind of cost is it to build a tower like that?
Well, it's a small tower, so it's not that much. They'll probably put, I'd say, in a high ballpark, $350,000 just to do that, depending on the length of the axis and so forth with that.
Will that road be closed off for a while because of it when you're putting it up, or?
No, Bronson Road will be open. They'll just have, it's an unmanned facility, so there is no traffic that's going in while it's in operation. So that the main traffic is when it's in construction time. And the access road, I believe, is going to be over 95 feet to 100 feet. So they won't be up on the roads. They'll be inside their existing drive or proposed gravel access drive there.
Thank you. Questions regarding the communications tower?
I feel like this is a really stupid question, but whose property is this on? Is this on our property? I mean,
Not city property. No, they have bought or are buying land from somebody.
We lease the land from a property owner that owns
okay,
that
we're
property.
leasing it. Okay.
1350 Handship LLC. We did apply for FAA, so we have the FAA determination of no hazard to aeronautical study, and we are in process with MoDOT for tall structure. Correct.
Anything, Mark? You wonder?
Nothing else to add, Mayor. I would defer to Michelle. This went through the Planning Commission. I have a recommendation here from them.
Yeah, I would just note the Planning Commission asked for 3 conditions on it. One was to move the site 20 feet to the north to comply with our setback standards, and then also to install an 8-foot tall chain link fence with PVC slats to screen the bottom and all of the cabinets and everything from view. You're obviously not going to screen the tower. And then also that the applicant must receive the approvals from the appropriate local, state, and federal entities with regards in proximity to the airport.
And that's that.
He's
We
working
did
on it.
move the tower back 20 feet per the condition or recommendation by the Planning Commission. We are going to previously were proposing a 6-foot tall, so now we're going to do an 8-foot tall. We're going to put PVC slats in there. My question is, what color do you want the slat on?
Commissioners?
Green. Let's go green and put it there. Because it's wooded. Okay, he doesn't like green. What color do you want for the slat? Blue. That's going to stick out.
Oh, no.
Whatever you want, whatever is cheapest.
Pink?
No. There's been a motion, Tammy. Is there a motion for the new tower?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support for a special land use permit for a communication tower. Other questions? Tammy?
Johnson?
Yes.
Simmons?
yes.
Cochran?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Hilton?
Yes.
Can
Next
we use
is,
this gentleman's name for the minutes?
yes, please.
Brett Blackhurst. Brett, B-R-E-T-T, Blackhurst. B-L-A-C-K-H-U-R-S-T.
Okay, so B-L-A-C-K and what was it?
H-U-R-S-T. Black is the color, then Hurst.
Okay.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
There are some appointments there, and I think they're all from the parks. Is parks here? No. They're all parks, right, Mark?
I believe it. Yeah, Sammy, John Sparks, and Foster Neal all have served on the Park and Rec Board.
And they were on our tour. I think all 3 of them were on the tour that we took for the joint meeting.
Yes.
Any questions regarding those folks? Is there a motion for accepting those parks people to renew?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support. Questions further? Tammy?
Simmons?
Yes.
Hackman?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Next is we're revisiting the peddler and transit policy, and Tammy will explain why.
Back in October of 21, the city commission approved ordinance 777-1021, which had changes to the section that was entitled license required. We didn't have any criteria for our background checks, so that put some criteria in there for the police chief so that she could say whether, when a background came back, whether a person was in a good standing or not. So that gave her a little bit of a leeway. Well, then I found a section that I wanted put in there, a little paragraph that said when permits would expire, and they all expire now on December 31st, regardless of when they're given out. And that was by ordinance 780-0122. Well, when we did that, the wording was such that it deleted everything that we had done with the first one. So now what we're doing is we are just doing another ordinance to put everything back in there where it should be. This was found when we sent our ordinance to the codifiers, like we do a company that codifies our ordinances. And that was, I didn't notice it until I was proofing their codification that all of that was taken out. So we're just putting it back in.
Is our present city attorney good with all this?
I believe so.
Yes, I reviewed the issue and then helped review the corrected ordinance.
Thank you. Is there a motion for the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
And this is an ordinance, so it requires 4 or 5.
Correct.
Any further questions? Tammy?
Hackman?
Yes.
Epley?
Yes.
Gunther?
Yes.
Johnson? Yes. Simmons?
Yes.
Any unscheduled business for commissioners or others present?
I was going to ask about our meeting with Dr. Pink, if there was any update on rescheduling that. I don't know if that's a question for Mark, for the mayor, or...
I talked again, and when I asked for the letter for the grant, and he literally said, I have a plan, which I think will be very
Love to
good.
hear it.
But it ended, and I'm not pushing beyond that.
No, I appreciate that. One of the things I was
That was
thinking
about only 2 weeks ago, I think, or less, Mark, when I told you that.
I know we are looking for people to run for the Charter Commission. I thought it would be good to talk to Dr. Pink so that he could let those working at the university know that, you know, we are looking for people. He could do some sort of announcement or something like that for those that live in the city that might want to participate. They could at least learn more about it or contact us.
I did ask him for a member for the steering committee for the master plan. Did we get that? Mark, you got work to do with Maggie. A steering committee member and that letter and charter commission. And I didn't talk about those items, so I don't have any points.
That was my only question there.
Thank you. Appropriate. Any other business for the good of the group? We're going to go into a work session. Anybody wants to stay can stay. We're going to talk about strategic planning and how that fits into the future. So we'll adjourn for a moment. Is That's my problem, I did it all verbally with it.
Good job, Liz.
Now I'm learning, maybe that's not. Live and learn. I should have.
Tomorrow we go to the other entertainment.
Yeah, all good. Thanks, Daddy.
Dirty.
How you doing? Good to see you. Mayor, whenever you're ready, I'm comfortable starting.
I got that sent to me personally. Let's go back in session. Oh, that's right.
Hello.
Got a little chair.
Tammy wanted the tables to be able to move.
I understand.
She put those.
So that's why,
That's cool.
now we just need chairs
I agree with them.
that are on wheels too.
I didn't know him.
Now we've got that one.
It wasn't.
I know, yeah.
There had to be a bunch of.
Well, I know, but isn't there one?
You know what, that's the one.
Is there a flag up?
We did the pledges.
There was a flag at the front. Is it like American flag?
Yeah.
There's more than one.
They're from there. I don't know.
That'll be for you to call on.
Yeah, I'm happy to call him. I know him somehow. Mayor, I'm comfortable in starting if you're okay with
Go
that.
for it.
So I've had a number of conversations individually with each commissioner, and they've all just been slightly different. About strategic planning, and they're not different in that I think about every part of the group thinks it's a good tool. It's just when and how and why, what's the right timing, those types of things. And so what we did to prepare for tonight, we talked to a couple of different consultants. The first one, which this is number 12, which really has a 12 at the top of your page, probably wondered, like, did I write that, or where's that from? So we started talking to a guy, his name is Lou Rabeau, and we've worked with him. He's actually an attorney by trade, but he does a lot of training and stuff.
HR experience, we've done leadership training.
He's really good, and we started talking with him about this. And then some part of our conversation came up that what's changing in town or something, and I talked about Goshen, and he was like, oh boy. He works for Warner Norcross and Judd, who's the attorneys for Goshen. So he immediately backed out, and then that's why this is in like a very rough draft format, is because we started with him and then it stopped. But we thought somebody else's perspective might be useful in kind of what they were thinking. He talked about this being about a $15,000 endeavor if he was gonna work with us. And then I got through Commissioner Simmons, a Megan Motil, who's out of Traverse City, who's runs a group called Parallel Solutions, and had a couple of nice conversations. She does this with nonprofits and local governments and different things, and provided this proposal that you have that's a very much more complete type of form. So that's what I have for you. Is we're ready and willing to do whatever the commission wants us to do. It's sort of in my you guys got to give us direction on what you think in terms of, again, timing. We've traditionally done this in the winter, sort of pre-budget planning. That's kind of what that was the timing we utilized in the past. We just adopted the budget. Again, we are ready and willing to do whatever the commission wants us to do. And I actually have copies too, Mayor, of our current one, which may be useful as you think about this. So that's really all I have, is just try to get this in front of you as a group when you're all together. And keep them coming. Keep them coming. And this is the most. Yeah. So I think we can share but that's what I have. And so we have a couple of proposals. We can start it whenever the commission wants us to do it, and however you want us to do it. The other piece of the puzzle here is we've never worked under a proposal that was over $7,500. Right. So there would be a bidding component to this if we're talking about this. So we've always used Lou Bender. That was another thing that's come up in my conversations. Maybe it's different. Maybe we shouldn't, or it's a good time to work with somebody else. Lou is in 3,400, kind of ballpark. So that's why it's never been.
Not for his travel expenses and
Anyhow, it's less than 75.
It's less than 75.
Yeah, so
it's more than 3.
Yeah, I think we paid 2 or 25 plus the 20.
This morning, my conversation with Mark and Brad just did one with another small city?
Yeah, city of Scottville. And their processes, they're a much smaller community. Their process is much more informal in that they, at a commission meeting, started off by just doing a roundtable as to what each of the commissioners wanted to see in terms of strategic planning and projects and things. It was project-based in terms of what they want done with the city in the coming year. So that's that process they used, and I don't know what they did with that initial roundtable result, but that's how they started it off. So.
The only thing that has me wondering is if Goshen makes a decision to come and they start moving earth, it sure changes a good share of our strategic plan for the next 2 years. If they're not coming, it doesn't. Should we wait a month or two to see if they truly are coming or not before we start the process? Somebody said, well, you need a strategic plan anyway, but boy, it sure would change a lot if they're coming. Whole water system, a whole sewer system, a whole this, a whole, I don't know. That's just what I thought. I thought, oh geez, are they coming or not coming? We need a plan, but should we wait for that final? May only be a month, right, before they make their decision?
They extended, my understanding, they extended their options on the property till the July 31st.
Oh, they did.
So,
I think it would be worthwhile to go out and ask, are we required to do a public bid, or can we just ask for multiple proposals?
if it's over 7,500, we have to either do a formal sealed bid, or we could do a request for qualifications kind of thing too. We've done that like with the engineers, but there really would have to be a public process.
Well, and that's fine. I think it has a lot of value. I think when and if Goshen comes, we adapt when and if that happens. I would hate to see us keep pushing something out. And what if it's September, you know? I think we need to do one that's you know, we could have a new company come in 2 weeks and decide to do something totally different that would affect our strategic plan. So I guess I'm just of the mindset that we keep going. Like I said, that's why we're having our conversations today. And I reached out to Woody, who is our consultant, for the performance evaluation, and that is how I got, this person's name. He said he was not able to do it himself, but highly recommended this person.
I think too, going through a bid process, it's gonna be, I mean, you're gonna advertise, it's gonna be out for a couple weeks by the time you.
So might be, by then we might
That's
have all
what
our.
I got. By the time
Take
when
care
you
of it.
receive those, and if there's multiple proposals, and you review them, and then you make, and then it goes to the
So
commission
it might
to
be
make
that
a
long.
decision, I think you're fine. You're looking at, you know, probably at least 6 to 8 weeks before you're gonna start with somebody, that's my experience dealing with this stuff.
If we don't, then we should just do it, like.
Well, and
You never have.
I think if we look at what, cities similar size to us has done with Scottville, do we have the capacity in-house to try to do something ourselves?
I think we have the ability to do a project-based strategic plan. I think
That
that's
is what
the
that
easy
one
way.
was, yeah, I mean, that,
It's the
it
other
basically-
things, policy-based, whatever,
I mean, the step
Depending on what you want.
depending on what you want.
Yeah, the step-up process was they literally had a whiteboard and somebody was up writing down, like, they went around,
Yeah.
and everybody. and
It's
then
more of
wrote
a-
down.
That's a project
They compiled
based.
it, and then
Yeah,
they
that's
wrote
kind of
down.
hard.
Well, I think it's time for a change and have a professional, but man, they're getting a lot of money for consultation, huh? $10,000, $15,000, geez. I thought the performance evaluation was a fair price. This seems a lot higher.
Yeah, I was sort of surprised. Not so much at Lou, because he's a high-powered kind of, I don't know, I was $10,000, yeah, that's
And who knows, I mean, you go out to,
My
you know,
God.
bid or
My
whatever,
word.
and well, it could, or you might find some, I mean, it could go both ways. You might be surprised.
It sounds, Mark, like this table, but we haven't heard from everybody. Yeah, let's go ahead and put something together for a proposal. Anybody disagree with that? Request for a proposal.
I guess for the proposal, I would think we would need some clarification as to what we're asking
Yeah.
these people to do, and I haven't heard anything.
Well, you can do policy-based, you can do project-based, you can combine the two. What
We need
else?
some input, what exactly do you want this person to do?
And Megan talks about conduct pre-session survey and assess results and interviews, and I don't know, I mean, I kind of let her, I mean, she talked about how this is the way she does it, so I tend to be like, oh, okay, that's the way you do it, I mean, we've done it in one evening with Lou Bender, you know, I mean, that's more of a kind of down and.
Do you do this with your staff before you bring it to us? Do you do a strategic plan with your people?
I mean, that,
Anytime?
well, I mean, that's what we would call capital improvements. I mean, if
Like
we're
you're looking at
strategizing
project-based,
all the
yeah.
time on what projects to do next. What we're not strategizing all the time on are, you know, maybe some of the policy type things that really are more in your folks' wheelhouse than they are in ours. But in terms of projects, we're constantly tweaking and changing and thinking about and analyzing how to do, you know, what roads, what sidewalks, what water lines, what sewer lines, and that all comes together really through the capital improvement process. What vehicles, you know, you name it. And then you get
Your master plan will also take care of some of your project type stuff,
Right.
what the community wants to see
Well, that's, yeah,
in
that's
road,
another
because that's
interesting
gonna start picking up in the next couple of weeks.
We can get them ready to roll, huh? And who decided was gonna be on that? City commissioner, or the city manager, or Michelle, or?
What, for the steering group?
Yeah.
I'm not on it, no, it's.
So who picked the people? I mean, do we have any say in?
Oh, sure, yeah, we could have anybody you want. one of the things that Michelle did was kind of break up the community into different segments, and so.
Neighborhoods.
Yeah, there's seven, maybe 6 or 7 of them, and then we kind of like in the industrial area, who are you gonna pick? Oh, Dave Hamlin, you know, I mean, it's more that kind of thing, but.
People from each neighborhood to try to get and then different industries to try to get a representation.
Yeah.
Are you going tomorrow? Okay. Well, Dr. Pink was asked to give us a Ferris person to be on that committee. So somebody needs tweaking a little bit tomorrow on that.
Yeah,
If you're gonna start 2 weeks, you better start getting.
Yeah. I would assume Maggie would be there tomorrow too, but Dr. Pink will be probably swamped. But, and, yeah, we need to know what exactly you folks want to accomplish, and I guess we need to then tailor whatever we put out, whatever sort of bid spec. I mean, we don't have that ready either. That would take some time. But we would have something for you probably back in August. I would anticipate probably not before then. If we.
When do you do 2 weeks? August? Their vacation 2 weeks in August.
At the end of July. Yeah, end of July. Yeah.
It won't be ready till after.
Yeah, it would be.
Sounds like.
Yeah, we'd have to.
If I may, first of all, as a consultant, I'm sure, anyone is amenable to changing how they do things depending on what the client is looking for. We do need to be clear what we're looking for. And I would suggest, and I know I've been kind of harping on this since I came on in the city government. First of all, it's our job as the commission to give Mark, as the city manager, our priorities, our policy priorities. So I would encourage us to really be thinking about a strategic planning document that incorporates policy ideas so that we can do that effectively and clearly. And of course, I'm always a proponent of then, tying back, always talking about projects in the context of our strategic plan so that we can see how projects are moving us forward on any given goal. And if we are looking at goals that maybe we're not spending as much time talking about or working on collectively, then that gives us a good opportunity to do that. It's a good idea, you know me, I'm a big picture person, and it's important for us to understand not only what the projects we're doing, and certainly for budgeting purposes, but how these projects fit together into the big picture, moving us forward. And certainly, there are different levels of how we're moving forward. I think we're at a really exciting and critical crossroads here, potentially. I'm hugely excited about the possibilities at Depot Park, because that corridor needs help. It needs help, and we're talking about, we just included in the budget money for new signs for entrance into the city. I mean, this is, talk about placemaking. We have an opportunity here to really get involved in placemaking, and of course, running parallel with the master plan work. We're going to be getting input from the community, so we get a collective voice, ideally, about where people want to see the city going. And the strategic plan really is for us to be looking, where do we think we want to be 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road? And I would encourage, of course, it doesn't hurt us to plan for Goshen. You're better off to plan for Goshen, and then heaven forbid something happens and it doesn't happen, well then we can adapt. But you don't want to get caught flat-footed. If you have a plan for Goshen and it happens, and then all of a sudden that's in front of us and we have to scramble to make plans. I always encourage us to get out in front of change that is likely to be coming and put our arms around it and put our imprint on it so that we can help ideally shape it the way we want it to go, so it doesn't just run away from us. So I would encourage us to do put out a request for proposals. Is that what you're doing as an RSP in this one?
I think so.
As long as we can articulate fairly clearly what it is that we're looking for, and as I said, any consultant who wants the job is going to say, this is how I usually do things, but you let me know what you want, and I'm sure that's how this will Motel, sorry, Motel. Okay, so that's what
You might, check with the Williams and Works person that you retained for the master plan to make sure there's no overlap too. I'm sure there's gonna be some amount of overlap in master planning versus strategic planning. Might pay two consultants or three, just make sure that you do this where you put the RFP to make sure what's in there is tie rate.
What are some of the points we want listed in the RFP? What are some of the focal points out there that it talks about? Do you want specifically interviewed one-on-one or something, or is a one-day session, or?
I think a one-day session should be adequate. I don't see this as something that needs to be multiple interviews, individual. We need to work on it as a team and not kind of in silos. I still struggle with the current strategic plan that we have. I think it started off in a good direction, but then we just have 1 year tasks. It's not separated into 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and I feel like it's just a list of things.
Yes.
You know, when I first saw it come back and based on the work that we had put into it, it didn't feel like a strategic plan for me. I think our strategic plan is should be much more forward thinking. And I do like the idea of it being more policy than project based, or vision than project based, and then that gives the city manager some direction from us. What is our strategic plan used for? Is it a requirement of our charter? Is it a requirement for certain grant applications?
No, there's no requirement. We've only recently.
I asked the executive question,
Like,
how often do I go back, how often do I go back to the strategic plan and see if we're hitting our goals? Never. So that means it's either functionless
I feel like it might be.
or something.
Well, as I say,
I
you know, our job with respect to the city manager is to set priorities for any coming year, and the strategic plan can be the go-to document to formulate that, articulate that, and as can be adjusted as needed.
I think we need it for sure. I think
create a strategic planning mindset too.
I think it's really hard for me to say what it is because I know what I don't want, and that's kind of what we have right now.
It would be good to look at policy-based plans, strategic plans, to see how they're.
And I don't want to do one just to do one.
Right.
You know, it's a significant.
I can tell you the history because it's a recent history of strategic plans. But it's not. We haven't done these for 20 or even 10 years.
2019, is that?
Yeah.
Really?
And the reason that we did it is because historically, what the commission has always reacted to the items that were brought to them by staff. And those are projects. That's the way we operate. That's the way that's what we operate in, you know. And so the idea was we should be hearing from the commission the types and kinds of things that you want us working on, and then it's easier for us to bring you things that fit into that.
We haven't done that. We've tried a little bit, but like nobody has said, what does Big Rapids want to be when it grows up? In 5 years, 10 years, whatever. The master plan has to be looking at that too. But I've never had that conversation with anybody in the room.
I've started the conversation part.
And then you can also use your annual report to highlight those items on the strategic plan that you have achieved. This is the document you can use to sell. It's like a selling instrument for the city, and it's a public-facing document. So I'm thinking in terms of the goal we had way back when about attracting more people to come live here, attracting more families, diversity, and so forth. And I like, one thing that Ms. Motil has in her proposal here, which leaped out at me, was metrics. What kinds of evidence are we going to show ourselves to show that we are achieving, benchmarking those goals and that we are achieving those goals. So it's an opportunity for us, it gives us a concrete item to keep coming back to say, okay, yeah, we're on track with this, we're doing great, or maybe we need to tweak this, or we haven't seemed to be doing a lot on this, maybe we need to, but it's a good way to come to centralize, I would say, the conversation.
Would it be your opinion that most professional strategic planners who do this would have that exact thing in their mind as they're leading us? Seems they would. Isn't that what we're all supposed to be doing? And they should be doing that with us, just like this woman is.
Think about it this way. We are trying to get started with a marketing person. Right? How are we going to market? We asked this question of ourselves a while ago. How are we going to market the city? And we talked about the need to have a clear message, right? That is consistent, that we're all communicating the same message no matter what medium it's going out through. And again, it all helps you to get clear on that message. What is it? And if you want to sell the city, if you want to really start getting more aggressive in that regard, having these conversations and working through these documents is a huge help as a way to do that.
Yes, by the way. The problem is that I can see, especially that we have this nice thing and all those nice things, and then he's busy working every day on the next project and putting out the fire and doing this, and doing the contract for that and this and that. It's a lot. And I don't know, you used to give it to Paulie, and now you'll probably give it to Michelle, because you don't like to do it too much.
Well,
I don't either, so I'm just.
Well,
it's very complicated to do strategic planning, I think.
Well, and I don't think we should be doing strategic planning every year.
Well,
We should be doing a check-in.
the problem with this though
every year.
is, I can tell you as a mayor what the problem with this is.
Go ahead.
It's clear as mud as to what we want to, and she's over there and giving me the eyes right there.
Tammy wants it clear and to the point. What are we getting out of this?
And that's where I think we get caught up with, we're ready and willing to do whatever. It's just, what are we don't know exactly what we're asking.
Not even ready.
The thing about it is, this isn't something you would have to be, you have to focus on every single day. It's actually more for us. It's actually a more important instrument for the commission to set policy. If we want to communicate to you for this coming up year, these are the priorities we would like for you to focus on. Then how you focus on those gets down into what you do. But I don't want you to feel like you would be burdened with having to execute a strategic plan. I don't think that's the point of that at all.
Well, I think we're ready to execute. I mean, I look over this stuff we have here. Yeah, I mean, it's sort of projects, which is right where we're being on, and that's what we do these. These, I mean, they're not all done, but there's a lot of stuff on here that's done.
Yeah. This is, part of the thing is, we talked about having, measurable project actions that we can see progress by at the end of the year. And that's important, right? The strategic plan helps us go out a little farther and envision what we want to see happening down the road. And whether we end up doing that remains to be seen. This thing is always fluid, things are changing. We have no idea what the economic situation is going to be from 1 hour to the next. And we don't know what's going to happen with Goshen or any of that stuff. But it's a planning document, which is part of a larger picture. Yes, you do want to have, we do have projects that we want to get accomplished in any given year. CIP helps us to triage those, right, to prioritize those. And certainly using it for budget stuff is important in that. But the strategic plan takes you beyond just next year. So in a way, your CIP process helps us do that by virtue of prioritizing. Right? You have to segment certain amounts of money over the next 5 years, how are we gonna do that? What projects are priority, what projects are not, but within the framework of what are our priorities, what are we trying to achieve here, and how are these projects getting us there? It's just helpful to see the bigger picture.
Hey, I'd like to ask Commissioner Simmons, when you said you would like to see more policies and less projects, can you give me an example of what kind of a policy? I mean, everybody's been saying policy, policy.
It's not policy. It's not policy.
What exactly
We're
you're saying?
looking, for me, it's vision. So I don't, in a strategic plan, I wouldn't be looking to say we need to target a budget of $3 million or something like that. A long-term goal for a strategic plan would be, as the commission, we want to reduce the city's debt. And then we come up with ways to do that. What are our top five priorities and goals? So I think policies is,
Probably not the right word.
it's probably not the right word. I would think of it more in terms of vision. So another thing of goals, right? So then another thing that we've been talking about since I was elected was having a charter commission. So is that a project or was that a vision? Right?
That's a vision.
Right, so that's a vision. So we're starting to check things off.
That makes more sense.
I think what I struggle with is our strategic plan is a list of things to check off a list.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like as a commission, the 5 of us and the city manager have sat down and said vision goals. That was when I first came on the commission, that was my expectation of how the strategic plan session was gonna go, and that's not what happened. So I think maybe the next thing is, some homework, on examples of other strategic plans. And I'm not thinking that that's homework for city staff. I think that that's probably homework for the commission.
They're probably all online, aren't they?
I'm
Probably everyone's online.
I'm actually-
I'm leaving online.
Yeah, we can go on.
And there's some that are project-based and some that talk about vision.
You're seeing that already.
Yeah, that's what I'm sitting here doing while I'm listening.
And I think
Yeah, there's all
when
that.
it comes to the strategic plan, if this is led by us, then we can't really put it off on city staff to come up with what it is, the process. So I think a little bit of homework, and then come back together in maybe another work session and just iron out some bullet points so that city staff can get proposals out. If that seems like a good path forward.
And I can start asking other city commissions who they've enjoyed a strategic plan. We can do that. Yeah. I would think that would help.
Right, this will help us.
Yeah, we can have that, and I would again check with Williams Works just to make sure.
So Williams Works, I assume, would have a person who does strategic versus master planning.
Well, they're gonna do a lot of this
Well,
business stuff.
Well, that's what I
There's
think.
an overlap there as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
And I think
there's-
we need, my question would be for city staff, what is the overlap in terms of the work that the master plan group is doing and what they can, what do they think the difference is between the two of them?
Well, what I think they are is, the master plan is a zoning. The zoning ordinance is the tool to implement the master plan. So that is what is happening on private property.
Okay.
What we're talking about is what are we doing in the public sphere?
So the master
Roads,
plan
sidewalks,
isn't really
parks.
looking at our public?
No, we have a park and rec plan, right? They might look at where roads go, or if you discontinue one or build new ones, but the tools they use are the zoning restrictions that tell you what your private property should be like.
So that's why Michelle wanted to get into this right away as soon as she got here. It's her thing.
Right. Yeah.
Under the zoning, anyway, like all zoning is supposed to be based on a plan. That's where the master plan comes in. The master plan is kind of the goals, the overall, kind of what we're talking about, the big picture vision for where the city's gonna be in terms of land use. moving forward, and the zoning ordinance is supposed to implement that.
Right,
Yeah.
I like the strategic plan being a vision-based
Yeah.
organ rather than a project-based, because we all love the project-based ones, they're easier.
Like this one that I'm looking at right now, this one I'm looking at right now, it says the key objective of this RFP is to identify the right partner for the city who is capable of successfully facilitating a visioning process.
There you go.
Community input and translating a community shared vision into a planning document with goals and tasks that will help shape decisions related to the program development and budget expenditures.
Sold. Keep on it too. So, how did you all enjoy doing a phone interview regarding Mark's evaluation?
Well, I'm not the person to ask because 90% of my meetings are phone.
So that's part of your life.
So it's
It's your
part
life.
of my life, and I've
You do mine with
established a way.
You don't get a warm
that works
fuzzy
for
from
me,
anything
so.
like that. It's just like, no.
But I would say, I would avoid doing just a phone call. Whenever you can, put the video with it. It,
Do better.
but you have a lot more conversations. It feels a lot better. But that's just me.
Yeah, I felt fine with the video used for the city manager evaluation wise. It was very conversational, and that's what that was meant to be. And you're right, in person, I would like meeting with people in person as opposed to on the phone. In my situation, just
I
being
thought
able to
he
do
was
that on my own.
extremely smart cookie. That's what I felt. He'd take my wandering and blabbering and is this what you said? And he put her, and I said, yeah, that's what I need. He was good at that. This guy was, I thought, really good. How do you feel?
I had no problems with the phone interview, and I think he was very good at
Oh, yeah.
getting to the meat and potatoes of whatever I
You were
was
trying to
doing.
Exactly. He was very good at that.
Yeah.
So I
Legal
told
terms, it's called legal witness.
Oh, you were
Except in this case, he was leading us back to what we were supposed to be talking about. Yeah, I did Zoom.
Did you Zoom with him?
Paraphrasing.
Yeah.
I didn't need to with him. I felt like we had reasonable rapport. How did you do, Mark?
I bet he was in here.
He was here for Mark. He came here.
Yeah, he was here, did he? Was he here? He was,
No, Solomon.
Mine was fine. I
Yeah,
think
mine
that's
was
why
fine.
in there.
Oh, yeah, that's good, it's fine.
And are they ready for the next step?
I have no idea where it's at. I don't know.
I haven't heard anything. Anybody
I
grab
haven't
him?
heard his name.
I think he died.
Oh, no. That's a horrible.
There. All right, let's.
5 minutes.
We're all
Back to
country.
strategic
We
plan.
have
Yeah, it's time.
very, very long time.
Does staff
We'll
have
work
enough?
on stuff then.
Do you have?
I'm gonna
any-
forward this one.
If you could,
Yeah. You guys.
I think Karen is right on the money with this, and I think that's a good way of looking at it in vision rather than the last one was.
So, how, yeah.
I just
sorry,
like to hear.
making this hard to get. How would it sound if we all did some homework and then came back for a work session in July? Like the second meeting in July?
Sure. Yeah.
I'm happy to facilitate.
That'd be good.
Then we can have time to look at what Melissa's sending us and do a little research on our own, and come back with some bulleted items that we think would make sense to go into an RFP.
Yeah, like, I mean,
Sounds good.
take something and don't totally reinvent the wheel.
Right. Yeah, I'm not saying-
No, I mean, but that's what I'm saying, I mean,
Melissa, what
find
did you
some
type in as your headline?
Your search.
Your search.
Your search term.
strategic planning, for local government,
Okay.
I think is what I.
And MML has to have stuff on
On
this
the
as well.
indicator, Georgia.
Oh, there we go.
You know, I don't enjoy the MML stuff. And Michigan Association of Mayors is considering Big Rapids for their 24 meeting.
Ooh, we absolutely.
So I'm leading the charge. But,
You need a committee for that.
okay.
You will.
I say, yes, we will need a
We will
committee.
need a committee.
We're already talking to Ferris to do all our conferences, run all of even. We had to do actual numbers for.
Cool.
Are you going to the one this year?
They haven't sent us the memo yet. It's in August and they haven't sent out where it's gonna be. Oh, I know where it is. Northville, and I'm not going down to Northville.
Yeah, attendance drops when you go that direction.
Detroit.
It's a nice part of Detroit.
Yeah.
As far as that goes.
Anyway,
If
so
you're gonna
we look forward to that.
homework for this work session, if,
Just
I
do
just
it.
asked if everybody could send me the stuff, so that I could get it out in the packet for everybody, so that they can look at it in advance instead of at the night of, go handing out stuff where nobody's been able to look at it and review it.
That's a Tuesday. When's the date that you would need that if it's in the final?
As soon as
I think
possible.
it's the Tuesday before the meeting.
Yeah, we have a meeting on the 10th, so it'd be the 11th or the 12th.
Well, this will be the 17th, so yeah, being the.
12th.
Okay.
We have meetings back to back that week because of the holiday.
Yeah, so it's 10 and 17.
We're adjourned. Go. I'll be here before we know it.